Thank you. Hi guys, how's it going? So my name's Caitria. I help communities prepare for and recover from disasters. Can I get my slides up? Now, I am the co-founder and CEO of a company called Recovers that does disaster technology, but I got into this a little bit more of the old-fashioned way, with a tornado steamrolling my house. I was actually standing in the front yard right there, right up until the trees started to hit it, and then I got inside, common sense. But the house shook for a couple minutes, and I came out the back door and was able to see the tornado column moving down one side of our valley and up the other side. And it was only really then, watching this black column chewing through the neighborhoods I had grown up in, that I finally connected in my head that this was causing damage. This was real, and this would take a very long time to get back to normal. Now, like any tax-paying individual, I automatically assumed that some guy in spandex would come parachuting through the hole in the roof and fix everything. Surely there's a program for that. And in reality, there are a lot of programs for that. There are a lot of big organizations like the United Way and like the Salvation Army that come in and get involved on the ground immediately helping. The problem is, though, that there are holes between the services. There are inevitably gaps, even though they're doing really important work. For example, if the Red Cross shelter is only open for 6 days, where does a family that doesn't have insurance stay for 6 months when they're rebuilding their home? Now, luckily, in every community after every disaster, there are stubborn and passionate people who show up to help. I have seen arborists and plumbers take entire weeks of contracts and cancel them and say, I'm here, I'm awesome, I have awesome skills and equipment, where should I go to help? Now, the problem here is that these people are seen as liabilities traditionally by the big organizations. And when you take a step back from it and you think about that, that kind of makes sense, right? I saw my little brother in the back of a pickup truck right after the tornado. He's 16 years old, gangly little boy, and he's got a chainsaw across his knees. And because I'm his sister, I know he's never touched one before. And I'm thinking lawsuit right there. But the problem is that if we send everybody home immediately, if we say shelve that bake sale, put away the chainsaw, we've got this, we're sending them home in the only time that they're interested in helping. And they're probably not going to come back. And then what happens, 6 months or 2 years later, when you still need babysitters and you still need legal assistance and you still need, translation services, but these people have gone home. Now, we're here to talk about the future of cities today, and you're probably thinking, what does this entirely apocalyptic vision, this picture was taken in Moore, Oklahoma, by my team right after their tornado. What does this have to do with the flying cars and the cancer-curing toothpaste that we all came here to see? I'm here today to talk about flexibility and to challenge your assumption of what the future is going to be made up of. If the government shutdown recently taught us anything, it was that our budgets and our systems and our services, even as a very well-off country in the world, are volatile. They change all the time. They might not be there when you need them, or they might not do exactly what you need. And I think that the gap filler of the future might not necessarily be a magical polymer or sustainably grown bamboo. It could be people. The residents of a community are the most reactive and flexible things that are in the community, and they're the ones who are able to take a gap between a desired outcome and existing technology and fill it in with Post-it notes if they need to, technology if it's available, and sheer force of will if necessary. Now, I believe that increasing a community's capacity for action, their ability to solve their own problems, no matter what those problems are is going to make them able to take care of themselves, not just on a sunny day, but on one of the worst days in recent history. So, as the CEO of a technology company, I'm probably going to get yelled at for this one, but I don't think that the solution to increasing capacity in communities is necessarily an iPhone app. My company works with communities across the United States, Australia, and Canada. And yes, the tools are part of it, but the bigger part is going in and saying, you're allowed to do something. You are allowed to do something in your community. In fact, I encourage you to do something in your community. It's going in and saying that here is a structure that we've seen work in other communities and that you can take and use for whatever you need to. In our line of work, we do volunteer management, donation item management, and case management. And that goes a lot of places. For example, in Longmeadow in Franklin, Massachusetts right now, we're working with them to help them use volunteers to check on senior citizens who live alone during a snowstorm, during a power outage. Now, when you put that next to a hurricane, that doesn't sound very big, but that infrastructure, the system of sending volunteers out to check on the senior citizens, that's the same infrastructure and the same system that they're going to use when they're responding to a much bigger disaster. And it's the same structure and infrastructure that we used in New York City, in Lower East Side, right after Hurricane Sandy, sending volunteers up flights of stairs to check on people the batteries on their wheelchairs had died and they were effectively stuck. So it doesn't matter the scale, it matters that you're telling people that they're allowed to do this. Now, I don't think the scenario in particular matters. The idea that anyone can provide help is the important thing. And I think that my favorite moment so far in this entire project, it's been about 2.5 years since the tornado affected my life. My favorite moment so far was actually kicking back during a conference call after the tornado in Moore, Oklahoma. And I was listening to an organizer from Occupy Oklahoma chatting with a representative of the Red Cross about where they should send cots. That kind of collaboration we would never have seen just a couple years ago. That's flexibility in its utmost sense, and that's empathy, really understanding each other's problems. And that's why I think that this city matters so much in the path towards a future city, because it shows us human potential and qualities that we should hope are in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.